Hello, everyone. Welcome to another DCU Daily. We are wrapping up the end of the week, yet we still have news for you guys. And not only news, but we do have a Fancast Friday today for y'all. We are fan casting Wally West, but that will be after the show. But for today's show, we're going to be talking about, we're actually still going to be talking about box office stuff. I know that's usually Monday's thing, but Friday, Conjuring, we got to talk about Conjuring Last Rites and how that's going to be, seems to be going to be very successful with that. We're going to be talking Street Fighter, going to be talking about some Doomsday updates, as well as our quick hits, not just regular quick hits, but DC quick hits as well. We got a lot of stuff to get through and not a lot of opinions to share. So boom, going to get through that super quickly. And then of course, Peacemaker, the newest episode debuted yesterday, and then on top of the fact we have Man of Tomorrow stuff to talk about. And then of course we will gloriously end this show with a Q&A and moving on to Fancast Friday. But until then, let's get into the show and show us that we are all indeed Knuff.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
Robert
You're
Downey.
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the needs now?
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh my God! Hey, look, it's Dan. Sorry, brought you in early a little bit there, Dan. Sorry about that. But hello, guys. Welcome to it's just chaos. It's just chaos right now. But hello, John. Of course, the show is screwing up, so of course John is hosting today. But we are here to talk about new stuff, and here we go, Dan. How are you doing on this wonderful Friday?
Yeah, no, I these are like the few hours of lucidity that I've had during the day, so I'm giving it to you guys. And I haven't, because I'm still not feeling the best. You can see I've got my hydration station back there. Cranberry juice.
Got like liquid IV Gatorade and stuff, and all that.
More Gatorade on my left shoulder. You can see a bit of water there. I don't know if you can tell. Then I got some ginger ale up here. So, like all the different potions that will make somebody feel better when they aren't feeling well.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But that's
we're not here to talk about me. We're
here to talk about movies. You, but the people care and they want to know if you're okay. So that's a good update to have. You haven't been on camera since Tuesday. So it's Dan was the special secret guest. Dan is the special secret sauce. He's the glue that holds it all together. But hello, Monique. Happy Friday to you. The only person that seems to hate Fridays is Stephen Ortega, because then he's going to miss us throughout the whole weekend. But that's okay. We'll be back on Monday. We'll actually be back on Monday this time around. But
because it won't be Labor Day. But
it won't be Labor Day. But let's get into the first news thing, which is this bit. We did kind of forget a little bit to, talk about Tier List Tuesday a bit, which is fine.
I mean, being completely honest, because I haven't been feeling well after Tuesday, I didn't have a chance to put up the poll. But I put this up. John, you could probably refresh this. We have actually picked up a few more votes, so we have an official leader. But Tier List Tuesday, as you guys know, we do that after the DCU Daily Show on Tuesdays, as the name implies. So you guys picked the options: Batman actors, MCU Phase 2, Alien movies, and X-Men movies. So X-Men movies being all the Fox X-Men movies as of right now. Of course, we're not in, because
not
Marvel
including
hasn't done any. Yes, I think we can count Deadpool and Wolverine because it's like the only other. Well, yes, we'll count it because it features the same Wolverine, and Deadpool also comes from that Fox universe. But that will be an option. Of course, you could see Alien movies. We would count all the way up to Alien Romulus. And probably even the AVP movies, considering that, any movie that the Alien franchise is officially a part of it, there's a crossover of the solo. Well,
I'm just saying I can't help with the AVP movies because I have not seen them.
I'm saying
Alien
if that's what we do, then we'll have to. And then of course, MCU Phase 2, pretty obvious there. There's 6 or 7 movies in MCU Phase 2. It started with Iron Man 3, ended with the first Ant-Man movie, and in between that you got the Winter Soldier, Avengers: Age of Ultron,
Guardians,
the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. It was actually it was a really good time for Marvel. And then Batman actors. Batman actors will be doing theatrically released movie actors, so we don't include TV show stuff.
Keeping in tune with, technically we're doing one TV actor because he got a theatrically released movie because we're following suit with the Batman movies that we did prior. So we are going to be including Kevin Conroy, who I think we know where he's going to be placed, and then Will Arnett, who voiced Batman in the Lego Batman movie. Iron Man sucks. Anyway, but
so
yes,
the choice is yours. It's on the community post section. Yeah, and we hope that you do choose to accept it. There's a few votes already in. Batman actors in the lead. We'll have until Tuesday afternoon to figure out who's going to win. Usually one option is, well ahead of everybody else, but this is your chance. Go vote for it. It's in the community section on the YouTube channel. Wherever you're watching us, whether it's on Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, X, or YouTube, go check this out. We'll see if I can. I'll see if I can drop the link in the live chat if you're watching live. But go vote, and then we'll do that as our topic for Tier List Tuesday. We'll rank them. So with that, John, I did want to, before we go any further, real quick, if you guys are new to the show, because we know we have, we just crossed 52K at subscribers. So thank you so much for helping us get there. Hit the like button if you're enjoying what you're watching. The way the show usually goes, and of course, John is a big part of it. John, we always start with the news. So we'll talk about the news from the world of Hollywood, like whether it's movies or TV show related, streaming, obviously. A lot of AI stories going around these days. We have one today to specifically talk about. Then we get into the quick hits, which are more news pieces, just, a little bit faster, and we don't spend as much time talking about it. Thank you, Monique. And then after we get through all the news around the world of Hollywood, whether it's movies, TV, streaming, sometimes even music. It was Beyonce's birthday yesterday. Then we will get into DCU Daily proper. We have actually a bunch of Marvel and DC stuff in the news today because we have to talk about Ryan Reynolds and Mark Ruffalo talking about the MCU and their upcoming, or rather not upcoming, movies in the MCU, depending on which one you're talking about. Of course, there's now 4 really big superhero movies all scheduled for 2027. Which will be the best one? Your predictions for box office, which will be the best made movie, whether it's a Marvel movie or a DC movie or a combination of the two. We'll talk about that. Street Fighter, of course, we'll get into, and then we have other stuff as well. And then, of course, in DCU Daily, as the thumbnail implies, we're talking about Peacemaker, that really, really big cameo. Did they just give it away? Do they even care? We'll get into that. And then, of course, we have to talk about Man of Tomorrow. There's more details, some rumors, as well as speculation, fan theories. We'll dive into that. Is Lex Luthor going to have a bigger role in the movie? And potentially, are they setting him up to go places politically in the world of the DCU? That is, of course, Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor. You would imagine casting somebody the caliber of Nicholas Holt. They probably have plans for him. James Gunn probably does. So we'll talk about all of that and more. But for the time being, John, lead the way. We've got a few pieces of news to get into, shall we?
Yes. So I did mention this already at the top of the show. Hello, Manos. Very nice to see you. But the first thing is Conjuring. This lovely little, well, not so little film, because it's the end of a franchise, the end of an era. Apparently the box office projection is to make $65 million franchise record opening for this. I mean, horror has been killing it this year, and the Conjuring movies, I mean, we were talking about this yesterday, how like they've always been like super popular. They're kind of like the go-to. They're easy to make. They, a lot of people seem to love them. So, they kind of they're just kind of fun movies. They're not like too scary or anything like that. So people could just go to them and have fun. So it seems like this might be getting a franchise record opening of 65 million, and conquer the last record, which was for the first Nun film at 53.8 million. Does this, like, as someone who's not a fan of horror, Dan, are you like perplexed by this, or do you think, no, this makes sense?
So, and if you can scroll up a little bit, not that we want to stare at the doll, but the headline I think is really interesting. Oh God, actually, never mind. Just scroll down. I don't want to look at that. It's yeah. Okay, look, conjuring up the biggest, and pardon the pun, but conjuring up the biggest horror opening of the year, being the fourth big horror movie from Warner Brothers. It's impressive. The Safran Company, Atomic Monster, you mentioned Atomic Monster is James Wan's company, but he's moving on. He's already moved on to Universal with Blumhouse, so that he's working over there. So that's one of the reasons why this franchise. I mean, look, they've left it open ended because we've heard from his executive on New Line Cinema saying, "Hey, we'd love to make more." I'm a limited horror fan. Like, it's like I'll do psychological horror and thrillers. I don't do movies like The Conjuring or The Nun. I was once made to watch one of the Nun movies. Not impressed. But anyway, the point is,
as Superman would say, not impressed.
As Henry Cavill would say, not impressed. And then you hit me with the music, the Hans Zimmer score.
He does.
Yes, he does. The Safran Company is Peter Safran owned, so obviously in the name. And he started over at New Line, and he's worked with James Gunn for a long time. So there's definitely DC connections, loose connections. But at the same time, look, the biggest thing here financially is it's making the biggest opening weekend of the entire franchise, which I think has to do with the fact that people still underestimate the popularity of the Conjuring movies, despite the fact that, like the Rotten Tomato scores in the 50s, it's not something that the critics will say is the best movie of the year. I think this is not even going to be the best movie of summer 2025. I think Final Destination probably takes that title. But the fact that it's going to have this big of an opening at a time when we're officially in September and on the cusp of, what the fall months of the year, it's significant because we have been talking about there's not a lot of big movies left on the schedule until we get to like November, December, and the Avatar or Tron and all the big awards contenders. You got those movies, but here we are. I mean, the box office surprises you sometimes. I think it shows people will go see the movies that they're interested in, and clearly here's an audience. And the Conjuring franchise, if it is indeed the end, and Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga seem to think it is for them at least. Yeah, I mean, look, it's good that it's going out with a bang rather than a whimper. I mean, will it hold for a good second weekend? We've talked about how nowadays that's a bigger concern.
I will take back every mean thing I have ever said about you, figure drawing, which isn't a lot, but I'm just gonna say that. I don't mind Conjuring. I watched the first two Conjuring. They're both pretty good. Those are probably the only Conjuring movies you can like really watch because the rest kind of suck. But like, it's just like I was talking about this yesterday, so I won't go into it again. But I was essentially saying like you can do so many different things with horror, and the thing is, so many people are like, "Oh, it's just like," because my dad like doesn't seem to understand like horror is so versatile that like it's all encompassing. Like he's like, "Oh, hacking up body parts." I guess that's part of it, but it's also a ghost story or psychological, like Get Out, or more thriller vibes or more like crime vibes, like American Psycho, Silence of the Lambs. These are all like higher brow films that are, that are all horror. So, it's it's just it's just like that's what I find. Just like I could do a whole retrospective on horror, and it would probably be like 5 hours long, so I wouldn't get into it now, but future video idea. But it's just like it. I mean, I love it. I mean, literally one of the posters behind me is Evil Dead. I have my Thing poster. I have my. You can't see it here. Hold on. Let me full screen myself real quick. No, Dan, get out of here. You can. There it is. That's my horror movie scratch poster right there. So I love it, and it's it's just one of those things that's just endlessly intriguing to me, and like it's so fascinating, and like just the analytical part of it is just like I love it so much. So it just like horror is just so fucking intriguing. Like it's just like even if you don't like them, you gotta like the admittance of like it's so just fascinating and
it is
great.
Yes,
Brogu, hey buddy, love to see you. Awesome. Now the party's really started.
Also,
Brogu
Hunter
here,
Iggy is here, and Patrick is here. Hunter Iggy was asking about the Sydney Sweeney rumors for the DCU. I mean, we've been seeing those rumors. It's nothing. It's just like it's
she's
a rumor.
Hot, she's popular. Cast her in a comic book movie again because after Madam Web failed, she's not going back to that. So
I think she's trying to diversify. And then we did a fan casting with Sydney Sweeney at the top of the pile, literally. So you can go check that out from last week, Hunter. But we will get into that if any of those rumors have more weight to them.
There's more of it holding water than than not.
John would love to interview a horror director. He probably even knows one or two. So we'll definitely probably look forward to that.
I don't know them personally to get an interview, but I would love to.
Don't worry, we'll get there one day. Don't you worry.
We'll Mike
Sydney Sweeney psychically was equal.
Give me a call. No, we want Sydney Sweeney to play a good character.
God. Where's Liz? Is not here. Well, Liz is enjoying her last Friday off from her day job before she's back at work. So I think after 3 days in a row, deservedly taken a weekend.
She gets sick of us pretty quickly. She needs a break, but she will be back next week, definitely on Wednesday, maybe on Tuesday. So keep that.
I might not be around as much next week, but because my digs are changing, which you will see when I'm next on camera.
No, anyway. Jalen can't be horny today. Oh no, sad days.
Calm down. I was gonna quickly address before we move. By the way, guys, let us know in the comments what you think about. Conjuring Up, the biggest horror movie of the year, The Last Rites, biggest horror opening of the year, Conjuring the Last Rites, potentially the last movie in the franchise. Up to 65 million is what they're projecting, which would be the fourth big horror movie opening of the year for Warner Brothers, a studio that I think will extend their streak of opening, 8 or 9 different movies that they opened consecutively with the number one at the box office with at least 40 million in opening weekend. So Warner Brothers streak will continue. So let us know in the comments down below what you think about that. Of course, we'd love to hear from you. And before we move on to the next thing, I wanted to quickly address, I think M2G and I were having a conversation in the chat. Why did Caught Stealing not do that well? And I was like, well, I think it's not niche enough. And he was like, well, I guess crime thrillers are out. Well, here's the thing. It is a crime thriller, but it's kind of like a horror and crime thriller are same in the sense that crime thriller encompasses so many things. I don't even know if you want to call crime thriller a genre. It's more like crime thriller is in the same boat as action adventure. Half the movies you probably saw in a year might be classified as action adventure. Plus,
technically, all superhero movies classify as
action adventure. If you just search by action adventure, Mission Impossible, James Bond, every superhero movie, all the Star Wars movies, everything classifies as action adventure. Even virtually every Jackie Chan movie is action adventure. So I think that's what I mean.
Indiana Jones, that's more adventure.
Indiana Jones, action, but still action adventure. He's fighting people. He punches people. So
it's just like if a punch is thrown, you're automatically classified as action. That's essentially what
exactly. So I think in that sense, with Caught Stealing, John, I think you and I can agree on the fact that they spent too much money making a movie that these days was not marketed at an audience. I think it's, if you think of it as a business, movies are not essential services. So, but nowadays you really need to convince an audience to go to a movie theater to watch what you have to present to them. And unfortunately, a lot of genres that used to be viable at the box office aren't as viable today because, people want to see spectacle and people really want to be given a reason to go watch a movie on the big screen, and give their money to the box office. Because otherwise you have a TV at home. Most people, even if you don't have a sound system, have plenty of good picture and sound still to watch a movie like Caught Stealing. Is Caught Stealing really worth seeing on the big screen? No. It's Caught Stealing really a movie that you can, wait to see on streaming? Yes, you can. Is it a movie that would come on cable in a few years and you might watch it? Sure. Is it a movie that you're gonna go watch an opening weekend because, oh my god, like this thing is just, asking you to go see it? Like, or if it was a video on YouTube, you would just click on it immediately? No, it's not. Like it just doesn't have enough of a premise. I that's why I think if Martin Scorsese was just starting out today, unfortunately, Martin Scorsese we wouldn't even really know about his name. 5 years, 10 years from now. It's just the way the market is today. And I'm being genuine. If Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese started making movies in 2025, they would not be the legendary filmmakers they have become, because the box office today just doesn't support that. And I mean, Spike Lee never quite elevated to that on the financial level, because even now, I mean, I think Apple's given him money to make highest to lowest, but even, I mean, he has always had like, finance or like indie finance his movies and stuff. And because his movies never quite elevated financially to that level. And that's why I think movies today from Martin Scorsese, like Killers of the Flower Moon, nobody went to see it because there's not an audience for it. Doesn't matter if you spend $300 million. It doesn't matter if you cast Leonardo DiCaprio and every other big star. I mean, it's hard to hear, but unfortunately that's where we are. So, and Hello Enterprising. And I want it that way? No, I would like to see more movies like that succeed, but I think Hollywood is kind of in a transitionary period. So eventually we'll get to a point where hopefully these kind of movies survive, or not just survive, but thrive. But I mean, it's like that thing of John, like you wouldn't see Caught Stealing because 4 weeks after it comes out, it's going to be streaming somewhere. And it's not really asking you to go see it on opening weekend. So, and by the time the second weekend comes around, there's something else going on. So there you go. Jalen is like, I don't need horny. I got family. Okay, I'm not gonna read that out just yet because I've already taken us.
Did somebody say
track.
Family?
I don't have friends. I got family.
I wasn't gonna see it because literally every fucking movie I saw had a Caught Stealing trailer, and I'm like, now I don't want to see this movie now. I don't want to see it because I got inundated with this goddamn trailer. And I'm not a huge Darren Aronofsky fan. Like, thoughts on Mother aside, like I just don't really like his movies. They're all kind of too pretentious to me. But yeah, I think I mean, it doesn't look bad, but like plus it's just like the inundation of Austin Butler, like the guy, he's one of the like 5 dudes that's in everything, like Pedro Pascal, Ryan Reynolds, Chris Pratt, him, and
Timothy Chalamet.
Those are like the 5 dudes in every fucking movie. Tom Holland, that's another one.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying that they're bad actors. They're all very good. Well, Ryan Reynolds isn't, but like they're all very good actors. But like, it's just like, it kind of gets.
Also, I mean, one might say Hollywood too white. I'm just saying, like, where are the young, where are the young black leads or other, like
John
Asian
David
or
Washington,
like, Latino? Yeah, but he doesn't have. You're not tired of seeing John David Washington do 1 movie or 2 movies a year that you think you hear about. They're not the 5 people.
Yeah, because well, if
like,
I said that, I would be automatically classified as racist. But like, first off,
no. But that's not the point. I mean, I brought up this point. I'm just saying. Again, we're sidebarring this whole conversation, but it's this whole idea of like, where is the next Will Smith? Where is the next Denzel Washington? And unfortunately, John David Washington is not the next Denzel Washington. Right. But where is the next Denzel? Where is the next Will Smith? Where are these, stars like, and Will Smith and Denzel Washington were box office draws, like on the same level as any other.
There are plenty of great actors, black men, Jeffrey Wright, Sterling K. Brown, very good actors. But they're
Sterling
not
K.
like,
Brown
I'm going to go see this movie, or Coleman Domingo, like
Michael B. Jordan actually is one that I think I should. Yeah, that's a good point. He's one, but he's one out of like the 7 others we discussed, like, right, like 7 others in terms of like, the rest of them are there's not enough diversity, I feel like, in terms of leads.
Oh yeah, of course not, because
this is where I think Chadwick Boseman, we miss him, because you could imagine he would have had bigger and bigger roles coming up. I also feel like what am I forgetting? The Star Wars, John Boyega. I feel like he kind of missed his window to become like a star, because those movies didn't treat him right, and kind of murkied up his. And then Pacific Rim Uprising was terrible. But
fucking imagine if a black stormtrooper became a Jedi. That shit writes itself.
It's so
good.
But
no, we had to deal with Kathleen Kennedy's fucking self-insert character that nobody cared about, and I'm sorry, that still fucking irks me. They can go fuck themselves for that. Goddamn.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, MTG, by the way, they advertise Zoe Kravitz more.
Well, yeah, because it's
watch the trailers
Zoe
for obvious
Kravitz. Like,
yes, anyway.
You know.
But
although to be fair, like in terms of hotness, I'd take Regina King like easily out of between the two. Like, I'm just saying.
Although I'm just saying, well, I mean, Regina King also just not too long ago lost her son, right? And she's talked about how Austin Butler was it Austin? I think she said like helped her sort of get new perspective on dealing with the grief of that. I might be misquoting her, but that was a really interesting story. Idris Elba, I think, is a good example, but also Idris Elba is.
I feel like he keeps
not
fumbling because he's in like shit like Heads of State.
Yeah,
and like just not. Like he's almost there, but like can't.
Yes. And you know what? Damson Idris, I think, could be the next one.
Yeah.
I hope he can. It's kind of like the Glenn Powell got the Top Gun rub. I hope Damson Idris gets the F1 rub, and then like translates that into like 5 big movies a year. Don't go there. Yeah, but because I'm trying to not run. And yeah, Jonathan Majors did slip up. Okay, my stamina is only.
Although I have heard, like Liz said, he was fantastic in Magazine Dreams, so there was that, but.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've only gotten one news story under our belt, and we're already like half an hour in. So we're not done talking about Conjuring just yet. Well, it's all encompassing for horror. So
yes,
apparently for $66.66, which kind of good because the whole point, the devil's number is 666, not 6666. So, but you know, it's the spirit is there. So they can see 6 films participating in the limited time program between now and the end of the year, including over Halloween. So AMC Theaters is offering horror fans cost-saving /pass time to The Conjuring Last Rites. So if you want to save some money and watch some horror movies, then you know you can use that. So apparently upcoming releases of not just Conjuring Last Rites, but The Long Walk, Him, Strangers, Good Boy, Shelby Oaks, and Bone Lake, you know, all the, you know, Black Phone 2, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, as well as some re-releases in October. So, you know, for all you horror fans, you could just one payment of $66 and some change. You can go see 6 movies, which is $11.11 per movie, which is a little bit less than, you know, what you would pay. Yes, Stephen, hello.
Yeah. And yeah, MPG, that was a good topic. That whole conversation around like where are the we should actually maybe make that a whole debate topic.
I did hear he was good in that. I did hear They Clone Tyrone was a really good movie. I think my friend watched that. I think wasn't like Jamie Foxx in that too. I heard that was good.
Yes. Oh yes, he was, but he not in the the Woman King was
not Woman King.
But yes,
well, you think Boyega was in 2 of those, but I think Jamie Foxx was in They Clone Tyrone. I heard that was good.
We reviewed The Woman King.
I heard it was like insane.
On the pod.
Like
it was well, the trailers looked amazing. I mean, and of course you got Amanda Waller in there, Viola Davis. Mm-hmm. So you can't go wrong with that. I mean, I think Jamie Foxx like definitely. I mean, I don't think he is that person today in terms of like talking about the whole like where is the Will Smith and Denzel Washington of today's Hollywood. But anyway, that's a topic we can talk about for a full hour, and I think you guys would probably like it. So we'll save that for later. But
yes,
yeah. As far as this, you know what this AMC Theaters offer. Yeah, we'll put that in the ideas box for a longer conversation. But
put a feather
as far as
in
this
it,
offer
as
goes,
the olden would say.
Exactly. I like what AMC is doing here because I think they're slowly starting to realize, give them credit, and I think others, other chains should do the same thing, where you essentially need to maximize, you know, opportunities to bring people to a box office, to the theater, to watch these movies. And when it comes down to like what they did with half off Wednesdays, I think was it Tuesdays and Wednesdays,
yeah, you can see those for like $5-6
these other
now.
like these kind of specialty programs, it's you make it an event. Like people are like, you know what? I wouldn't have spent $70 going to the movie theater otherwise, but if I can see 6 films from the genre that I really love, and clearly horror has a passionate following, it's like professional wrestling. Like not everybody watches it, but the people that do are really passionate about it. We actually have something about that later in the show, but that to me is what AMC and other theaters need to do these days, because that's how you bring an audience in. Like,
Not
you
just
gotta
put a
like
bowling
appeal to the
alley in
niche.
your theater. Just saying.
Although I wouldn't mind it, but like
I mean, I wouldn't mind
not,
it either, but I
there,
feel
you know,
like that's very
it's
not,
not gonna. Yes,
you know.
I mean, I think the logic behind that is flawed, because nobody says, "Oh, let's." I mean, okay, I guess some people might say, "Let's do a bowling alley in the movie," but like no, it's like date night. Usually, you want to have a dinner component to it. So if you were doing that, you say, "Let's go bowling," and then get some food. Or nobody's like, "I'm here bowling. Why not just go see a movie?" Because that means now you're gonna be in that
Because I
building
think
for
they're
6
trying
hours.
to do like all
So,
encompassing,
anyway.
like get like kids in there. Like, hey, you could do all this stuff for like.
It's fair, but then you also gotta like, I think then you gotta turn it into like a Disneyland. Well, not Disneyland, but maybe like Universal, where because like you have to give them an all inclusive pass and not charge the shit out of them for every little thing. Where you're like, if you come in here and you have a day pass, or if you have a special subscription thing, you can do as much, have as much bowling time as you can, and then go watch a certain number of movies. Like that would be how you would want to do it. To answer your question, Steven, not all the way there. So I'll see how long I can go on the show today. And when I need to tap out, I'll let John know. But hey, horror movies doing good, John. Let's keep the ball rolling here.
Oh yeah, of course. So apparently there is more about the AI lawsuit.
So
you mentioned this at the top of the show.
And I can sort of explain this.
Yeah.
So let me set the table for this. So and Anthropic, if you guys might know about this or not know about this, but basically they were taken to court in a class action lawsuit and that was primarily driven by the author of several books that Anthropic had used. They had bought them, and they didn't even buy them initially. They kind of like basically pirated them off like the book equivalent of Pirate Bay or whatever. So instead of torrenting movies, they were torrenting books. Which and then they said, oh, it's fair use because we use the books to train our algorithm. I think they call their algorithm Claude, which is already an evil villain name, Claude. Anyway, sorry, I'm actually being racist to the French. I'm not gonna say it, but like the point is, Anthropic trained their AI on these books without getting permission from the authors. And not only that, they didn't even buy the books. And then they used the whole fair defense idea of not fair defense, the fair use defense. It's not copyright infringement because we're not pretending that it's our work. That didn't go down well because they got
clearly
ruled
not
against
because
them
they
for
got to
that.
pay.
And then that decision happened a little while ago. Now the most recent decision, it's not even a decision. This is a settlement. So they settled, and so the judge, then it's not that the jury awarded them anything. They're settling because they're agreeing to pay $1.5 billion to the authors in the class action lawsuit, which equals to, I think I read like $3,000 per class. So everybody who's part of this class action lawsuit on the plaintiff side is going to make out with $3,000 a piece, and potentially more depending on if you're an author to multiple books. And it's a landmark ruling. I mean, it sets the bar because the previous ruling said that no, this is still copyright infringement because it's significantly transformative. Like you're changing the work enough because you're using this AI now is going to use those books and what it's learned from it to then write other things that might be plagiarizing, but also changing things and completely out of context for whatever people ask Claude to generate or answer questions for. So this is kind of similar to like if you let somebody take all of Banksy's artwork without Banksy's permission and train their AI model on it. And then all of a sudden, like, we talked about yesterday, John, you and Liz mentioned Warner Brothers joined Disney and Universal on their lawsuit against, what was the company?
Midjourney,
which is more to do with visual arts because Superman and like other Warner Brothers properties and stuff. This is the same thing for books. And with the court system, usually when something like this happens, it sets a nice precedent for any future situations like this. So there's 2 lawsuits here. One that was decided upon a little while ago. I forget the exact timeline, but it was earlier this year. And then this one Thank you, Tony. But this one here, this actual class action lawsuit that followed the previous lawsuit, it's a settlement, but a $1.5 billion. It goes. I mean, again, and these companies usually have enough backing that Anthropic is not going to go under because of it. In fact, their PR team has tried to spin it as a positive. But for me, this is good in the sense that this again reinforces the idea: if you're going to train your AI on creative works by other humans, you need to at the very least get their their permission, and then potentially compensate them for using their works. Kind of like how royalties work for musicians and actors and everything else in Hollywood that we talked about. John, having heard all of that, do you have anything else to add there, or your?
No, I think you pretty much got through it pretty well.
Yeah.
Fuck AI.
Yeah, well,
that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, because I'm like, it would be, it would be great to get a Friday or what was the Tonys of Jarvis in real life. It would be really helpful, but I just think like it has to be done ethically, and this is a question of ethics. And while $1.5 billion will not really hurt Anthropic all that much, it sets the precedent, and we hope that something similar happens with Midjourney. And if the studios win that battle, then that will definitely help move, but at least reinforce the whole reason for why those actors strikes happened not that long ago, because they were fighting about AI, and studios and Netflix and Amazon, they weren't willing to give up freedom over that, and ultimately they had to relent on some areas. But we hope that this continues. I think this is a good step forward in the right direction in terms of the ethics side of that whole conversation. So anyway, let's keep on going, shall we? You guys can let us know what you think about it in the comments, because we do bring your comments and questions into the show, like we will be doing at the end of today's show with the Q&A session before we get into Fancast Friday. So definitely let us know what you think about it. Elite Easy, for example, Nelson, you guys are always in the comments. We really appreciate you, and so many more of you. But all right, John, we now have to talk about what might even be the better movie out of the action fighting or arcade fighting game adaptations coming out next year,
right?
Because not only are we getting Mortal Kombat 2, but we're also getting we're also getting a Street Fighter movie. And while we have known about the cast for some time, today they gave us an official cast teaser sort of trailer. It's not really a trailer, but it is a bit of a teaser. It shows you the photos next to their characters of all the actors in this movie, and we get I do believe we get a bit of a synopsis as well. So let's kind of go through this one by one. If you go to the synopsis here, this is right there. It says set in 1993. I immediately like the fact that this is set in the 90s, because I think that's a better setting than set it in the today times. Strange street fighters Ryu, is it Ryu? Why am I messing this up? Ryu, played by Andrew Koji, and Ken Masters, played by Noah Centineo, are thrown back into combat when the mysterious Chun-Li, played by Kalina Liang, recruits them for the next World Warrior tournament. A brutal clash of fists, fate, and fury, but behind this battle royale lies a deadly conspiracy that forces them to face off against each other and the demons of their past. And if they don't, it's game over. I mean, you don't need to be a Street Fighter fan to understand what this is about. It's pretty straightforward. This is also the first time Legendary will be distributing a movie through Paramount. Remember, this is the first movie in that big deal. And if you go to the next link, John, we have a closer look at both of these things. Like here, this is one of the images they posted. This is actually a still. But on Instagram, they actually posted a video version of it. So if you can play that one from the next link, you can actually see that, they're showing all the actors next to with their character names and photos.
That's kind of cool.
What I thought was lazy about this is some of these just look like they just took a paparazzi photo or a red carpet photo, and like literally Jason Momoa and Cody Rhodes, for example.
I gotta pause it because I can't fucking understand what you're saying. So
they're not even. Well, you can mute it because we can hear the music. But they're not even using like photos specifically to the movie. But still, it's impressive, and I'm excited because it kind of makes you realize that this thing is gonna be here sooner than you know it. I mean, they're moving quick on this, John. And if you go back to the original article, we actually had some of the actors react. I mean, you showed us the cast photo. You got Noah Centineo there, Andrew Koji and company. But then if you keep going, Cody Rhodes responded.
Your boy Cody Rhodes. There you go.
With the American Nightmare, he's like, you know what? I will have the hair. So this is.
I mean,
looking
it's
good.
nice that an actual American is playing Guile rather than a Belgian. So that's pretty good.
Well, they might save some for future movies. I don't think they can give us every character.
What are you talking about?
But you do have Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes in there, of course. It looks interesting. It looks fun.
It looks like it's gonna be fucking full on 90s cheese, which, like, sure, I guess.
But I think as long as they're aware of it, they're self-aware of the cheese.
I mean, I will say, I think David Dastmalchian is playing M. Bison, so honestly, that's pretty damn good. And nobody is going to be Raul Julia. Like, the one good thing from that original movie is Raul Julia as M. Bison. The day M. Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday. It was a Wednesday. Was it? Just like, the man had no misses.
Street Fighter. No, I don't think it works. Street Fighter has its own music. Yeah, exactly. Yes, it can't. This movie is gonna have to have a comedic element because I mean, while Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are good wrestlers, they're not really actors per se. So, but yeah. John, this could be one of the big movies coming out next year. So actually, you know what? They did give it a new release date too. Let's scroll down and go over that because this movie's release date has moved. I totally skipped over it, but it is still coming out next year. They just moved it back by a few months. So I think this is probably part of the deal they made with Paramount because now that Paramount is distributing it, they probably didn't. Yeah, so because Paramount is going to distribute it, they probably didn't want it to clash with one of their other movies, which makes sense because, duh. So October 16, 2026. So we'll have to wait a little bit longer. It's only a few months, so it's not going to be in the summer months. But like you guys were mentioning, should Superman have come out in October? Should Fantastic Four have moved out of the summer months? We know next summer is going to be a big summer for a lot of these animated franchises, so it's good that Street Fighter will have a little more room to work with in October of next year. So of course we know Godzilla x Kong comes out in 2027. You've got Dune Part 3 in late 2026 and Minecraft movie. So you have a lot of these other big franchises which Legendary is also working on, but those are all going to be released by Warner Brothers because they're still working on that deal together. But Legendary will release Street Fighter with Paramount October 16, 2026. So let us know in the comments down below what you guys think about that. Of course, are you excited? Because 2026 is starting to look better and better as a movie year, but we also said that about 2025. So, that didn't quite pan out. However, John, what didn't pan out in 2025 might just do really well in 2027 because now we shift gear a couple of years forward. It's 2025. John, you mentioned before something that has never happened before will happen in 2027 in terms of DC superhero movies, but also Marvel will not be lagging behind because we'll be getting not just a Batman movie and a Superman movie, or at least a movie featuring Superman. We're also getting a Spider-Man movie, which if I remember correctly, when we did our Mount Rushmore of superhero movies, all three of those heroes were on that Mount Rushmore. And then, of course, we're going to get Avengers, Secret Wars, and potentially another Marvel movie that's not even on the schedule yet, John, that people are speculating about that might follow Doomsday and be the movie sandwich in between the two Avengers films. So the question becomes, and I think this is a really interesting conversation we can talk about for like an hour, but John, between the Batman Part 2, Avengers, Secret Wars, and you got Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, which is part of a franchise that's already broken so many barriers and completely changed how animation is done today for the better or for the worse. And Man of Tomorrow, a movie featuring Superman and Lex Luthor in the lead roles. Which of these movies do you think will be the biggest one of the year? And
Batman.
Which one?
It's okay. Not even fucking close. It's gonna be Batman. Unless Doomsday does really well.
When I say biggest, I mean box office. Which one makes the most
Batman. Are you fucking kidding me? It's gonna be Batman.
But more than Avengers Secret Wars?
Yes.
Explain yourself, because I feel like most people would not agree.
Because here's the thing. Doomsday right now is setting up for failure because, like, we've heard nothing but production problems, and it looks like it's not going to be the best thing. And the thing is, I don't think Marvel has enough goodwill to their name to, unless Doomsday is like the greatest fucking Marvel movie of all time, nothing will ever come close to those Endgame numbers. Like, it's not going to get a billion. I don't think it's even going to, it might get like 600 to 700, maybe an 800 million, but like, it's going to be Batman. Batman is, no matter what, even in post-COVID numbers, fucking the Batman wrecked bitches. Like, and it's not even close. Like Brave New World was a bomb. Thunderbolts was a bomb. Fantastic Four kind of made some money back, but all three, they could technically be classified as flops. And that's not good for Marvel. And from a critical standpoint, from an audience standpoint, Marvel is kind of a damaged brand right now. Meanwhile, DC, yeah, Superman didn't get enough as much money as Man of Steel, but it still was enough of a success, and Peacemaker is enough of a success, and there is enough hype for Supergirl to be like, okay, DC is kind of back into their good graces. And then on top of the fact, you already have the plus side of Batman being the most popular character in media next to Spider-Man. So that, without a doubt, the Batman Part 2 is, and it's a long-awaited sequel. People have been foaming at the fucking mouth for this goddamn. Nobody's foaming at the mouth for fucking Doomsday. Nobody. I've seen more complaints than goodwill for that movie. People have been clamoring for Batman Part 2. So it is going to fucking explode the box office. In addition to the fact that people really love the first one, people love Batman as a character. It's a huge sequel. The Batman is going to win it. Then I think probably Spider-Man, then Man of Tomorrow, then Secret Wars. I think Secret Wars will do the worst out of the four. And I'm not just saying,
really
fuck Marvel.
So?
I just think here's the thing. But here's the thing. Everything can change with how Doomsday does. Everything relies on Doomsday. If Doomsday can't break 600 to 700 million, I don't think Secret Wars is going to be that much better. Meanwhile, Batman, excellent. Spider-Man is still the most popular comic book character of all time, even though their comics suck now, but like that's beside the point. And Superman, a lot of people love Superman, and I think are even more excited for this. And we're already getting it so soon after the first one. So it's like, I think there's a lot of goodwill for those three projects, because what I said about the Batman is definitely true for Beyond the Spider-Verse. Everyone loved Across the Spider-Verse. The first one got an Academy Award. So people have been clamoring for this third movie. And so everything I said about the Batman is true for Beyond. So all three of those movies, it's just, I think there's a lot of goodwill there. I don't think there's enough goodwill for Secret Wars. However, the tides can change with how Doomsday does. So I would say Secret Wars is kind of like in a limbo state of like not totally sure yet, because it really depends on how Doomsday is going to do.
Okay, because I'm like, that might be the hottest take of the year in terms. I'm like, okay, I understand what you're saying. I still think like it's an Avengers movie. Like no Avengers movie has made less than, what was it, $1.5 billion, I think is the number.
Yeah,
unless I think
prior to COVID.
No, well, that's true. That's also true. And it's that thing of like, yeah, if Doomsday does suck, which I don't think there's too much writing on Avengers Doomsday that they would make it so that it's so bad that I think Avengers Doomsday, even if it is bad, will probably make close to $1 billion. It would be a Batman v Superman level disaster if it doesn't make $1 billion, because I think Marvel expects it to make $1 billion. But remember, you're not only going to have the Avengers, you're going to have the X-Men, you're going to have the Fantastic Four, and probably even characters that we don't even think at this point are going to be in that movie. They're going all out for this movie. So I just think, financially, if I were a betting man, I would say Avengers still probably Secret Wars, but stands to make the most money. But I wouldn't be surprised if that the Batman Part 2 is the next highest grossing, because while the previous two Spider-Verse movies made a lot of money, I don't think either of them made $1 billion. I don't think the third one makes $1 billion, because some of that momentum has dissipated because all the delays for the third movie. So Across the Spider-Verse, or Beyond the Spider-Verse rather, it's not going to be $1 billion hit. I don't think in a post-pandemic time that's possible.
No.
Man of Tomorrow, I think, has the potential to make $1 billion because it's only 2 years after a Superman movie that was so well received and made over 600 million. So it could have that Batman Begins bump where, especially if the quality jump is similar to what we had in The Dark Knight, which, by the way, yes, The Dark Knight was the first superhero movie ever to make $1 billion, and 2 in a row with The Dark Knight Rises. And since then, DC's only had 2 movies make $1 billion, whether it was first Aquaman and then Joker. But even Joker is a Batman adjacent character. So I think half of these movies make $1 billion is a guarantee. I don't know about Batman Part 2. Well, I think a Batman Part 2 is a guarantee. Doomsday, no, not Doomsday, Avengers Secret Wars, those both are guaranteed to make $1 billion or more. And then I think Man of Tomorrow is probably the third highest grossing. And then it tells you something that Beyond the Spider-Verse will be the fourth highest grossing movie out of the 4. That shows you how good we'll be eating in 2026. So with that, though, John, one other question for you. Which of these movies will be the best reviewed movie of the year of all the 4? If you want to go to the very top, I think looking at them side by side, which of these 4 movies between Secret Wars, Superman, well, I should say Man of Tomorrow, Beyond the Spider-Verse, or the Batman Part 2, would it be the Avengers? Which movie do you think will get the highest rating, whether it's audience scores or critics scores? Which will be the most well-liked and received?
I would say either Batman Part 2 or Spider-Man.
That's actually a pretty good bet, considering the previous entries in those respective franchises.
And the thing is, Superman is kind of the thing is about Superman. The sad part, the very, very sad part about Superman is that I think there will forever be irreparable damage to that hero because what the Snyder cultists have done to that character, and that's really sad. Like, I don't blame Zack Snyder for his vision or anything like that, but I feel like there's too many people that were kind of like buying into their bullshit, like everyday normal goers, that they just kind of see the inundation of negativity and are just like, oh yeah, this is garbage, and then just never see something that's could actually be hopeful and nice and wonderful, and they just nobody cares. And I think that's sad. But I think that's also the reality of like Superman will forever kind of be a damaged character because of that.
No, but
not like beyond,
I don't think it's because
like,
of that
popularity, but like I just think like there is like a sort of a damage to it, I guess.
I kind of disagree because I don't think that's a yes, did it have an impact on Superman today? The Superman movie that we just got, a small impact, because again, I think we're giving too much credit to a very small vocal minority. I don't think that affected the box office as much as people like to think.
I don't think so.
Because ultimately,
it's just like
people spending
but there
money,
is the idea, the stigma of like in the background of like there are these people be like, this sucks, and
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, though. Superman as a character, I think there's evidence against your theory in the sense that Superman as a character has never been as much of a box office draw. We talk about it all the time. Movies in the past never made as much money in the Superman franchise as the Batman franchise. So I think in general, you're looking at a situation where Superman has to earn that right to $1 billion. And I think James Gunn is probably better positioned to help get it there than anybody else in the past. So hopefully that'll be true. But you guys let us know in the comments what you think. Which of these movies do you think will be the highest grossing in 2027 in terms of being the biggest movie of the year? I think a lot of people will say Avengers, Secret Wars, but the Batman Part 2 probably stands to make at least as much, if not potentially more money. It would be shocking, I think, for most people if Batman Part 2 made more money than Secret Wars, but we'll see. And then also, which is going to be the best movie? I'd like to think the Batman Part 2 will be the best movie of the year. And John likes to think it'll be the highest grossing. But you tell us in the comments what you think, and we will bring that into the show for the Q&A session later. So with that, John, let's move into some more Marvel news, shall we? Because we have our what's become almost Marvel Daily or MCU Daily, but we still call it MCU Weekly. We have a story from not just the upcoming Avengers movie, but also the Spider-Man movie. The first one, of course, is Ryan Reynolds addressing all the questions people have been asking about whether his Deadpool is going to be involved in Avengers Doomsday. And he said he hasn't even stepped a foot on set. John, do you believe that? Do you think Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool isn't a part of the movie?
Well, I think this is Mr. Reynolds being very, very coy. Because he never said he wasn't in the movie. He just said he never stepped foot on set. Well, the thing is, there's voice booths. There's certain things you can do that's not technically on a set. So I think this is kind of Reynolds pulling a James Gunn of being like coy and like being very technical. Because remember, Alan Cumming didn't film with anybody. They were all gonna, be like CGI and green screen and all that stuff. So I think this is Ryan Reynolds being very vague and very coy so he doesn't reveal anything. So that's what I think. I think this is just Ryan Reynolds being coy with it all. Kind of like doing a lot of cock teasing as like sort of just not like being technical. Like, I'm not lying, I never stepped foot on set, but he never says I didn't film anything for it. So, I'm just saying I think he's just being very technical because he doesn't want to reveal stuff. Or he's just straight up lying.
What? That's fair. That's completely fair. He's very adept at sort of playing that, the word game where he's like James Gunn, gonna give you like Kevin Feige, give you an answer without actually answering your question. So, and by the way, we will talk about the Jaimon Hansu Highlander news in the quick hits. Thank you, Monique, for bringing that in. But yeah, as far as this story goes, look, like you said, John, the wording is very specific and potentially misleading. So I think it's likely that Deadpool has a role, but like if he's just gonna be in a voice booth voicing and stunt, actor in the suit that just has a small cameo just to kind of wave at the fans in the audience, then Ryan Reynolds wouldn't have to step on set for that at all. So him saying how he's not stepped foot on set, I get it. It makes sense. You guys let us know what you think. Do you believe it any more than before that Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool is not in the movie, or do you think he's secretly going to be in the movie? Do you believe him and take him for his word in an era when Andrew Garfield will never be believed for his comments and the Oscar that he should have gotten for pretending to not be in Spider-Man No Way Home? Well, I think he couldn't stop the rumors or the leaks after the photo
it's
leak
Photoshop.
of him being on set. It's,
I'm not in it.
It's because I'm like, okay, so you photoshopped the current version of your haircut and you looking like you did in 2020 whenever the movie came out. Anyway, we're not gonna go down that road. The road we're gonna go down is Spider-Man related, but it's not Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man because Mark Ruffalo just mentioned that he hasn't seen the script for Spider-Man Brand New Day yet. However, he cannot wait to work with Jon Bernthal's Punisher. The actor, of course, he was being interviewed about his new show on HBO called Task, and this is where he talked about it. John, if you go back to the top there, he does mention there, and I'll read this off here. Yeah, so he was like, "Look, if I'm doing that, which the rumors are that I am, once I get the script, and this is where he addresses about teaming up with the Punisher." He said, I'll know it's real, but I love him, and we have a common friend in Lena Dunham, believe it or not, laughingly, and they said, who just adores him. And then he continued to praise Jon Bernthal, saying, I can't wait to work with him. He's so funny. He's such a great actor. He plays that character nobody else. I'm really excited to meet him. I've never met him. So, John, I'm not surprised that Mark Ruffalo hasn't read the script. Of course, like I mentioned, he was talking about his current show on HBO called Task. So this is where he was, asked about this. So again, actors always get asked about this stuff at other, press events. So I'm not surprised he hasn't seen the script because it doesn't look like he will have a huge role in the movie, even though he will be a part of the movie. I think all have been hearing rumors and reports about how Jon Bernthal's Punisher potentially will be the equivalent of Doctor Strange and Iron Man in this Spider-Man movie, whereas the Hulk, even if he is the Savage Hulk, will have a smaller role. So I'm not, and again, Mark Ruffalo probably doesn't have to worry about doing any of this because chances are we don't even see him as in, his live action self. Like he might just get into the voice booth and just voice his lines for whatever version of the Hulk he's doing. So, and then, do everything else in motion capture if that's what they're still doing, or whether they're just hand animating all the Hulk action. So I believe him. He's not read the script, and I think it only leads me to believe more so that his role is not that significant. So we might get a Savage Hulk, but he's probably not going to be in there for very long. So what do you think, John? Do you take this at face value?
I hope so. I think it's just like I just don't want him to appear. Like I hope cameo at the very most. I just don't want I just don't want I just don't want him in the movie for very long. Because I just wanted to just not be in it. Like Punisher, I get, that's fine. Black Widow and Hulk, fuck no, get out of my Spider-Man movie. Like just leave it alone. But if like it's a cameo at best, then fine. But I prefer he not be in the movie at all. So this holds credence to the fact that maybe he won't be in it for very long. So
yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, you guys let us know in the comments. What do you think? Mark Ruffalo, how big of a role will the Hulk have in the movie? He hasn't even read the script yet, and they've been filming this thing for months, to the point that John Bernthal and, of course, not Andrew Garfield, but Tom Holland have all been filming their scenes. But Mark Ruffalo hasn't even read the script, so to me that means he's likely not going to be in that big a part of the movie. Also, do you think Ryan Reynolds is actually not in Avengers Doomsday, because he's saying he's not stepped foot on the set of the movie, not even stepped foot on the set? So does that mean there's no Deadpool in Doomsday, or is he just doing a bit of wordplay for our entertainment purposes, teasing us? Is Mark Ruffalo a spoiler? I don't know what you guys mean in terms of spoiler. Like he's we all know Mark Ruffalo's Hulk is going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day, so that's not really a spoiler. If you've been watching this show, at least, we've been talking about it for a long time. But hey, you know what, John? I mentioned earlier, we got to move on to the quick hits. Before we do, let us know, like I said, in the comments, what you think about all of that Marvel news, because we now have to get into a quicker part of the show, what we like to just colloquially call the quick hits, John. So let's dive into those, shall we? I'll let you lead the way with the reacting to the quick hits.
So
save my voice.
Stephen King says superhero movie violence is almost pornographic, and that's wrong. City blocks are destroyed and you never see any blood. Yeah, I'm not the first one to make this joke, and I will certainly not be the last. But hey, you know what was also kind of pornographic? You writing a child orgy whilst high on cocaine, you fucking degenerate. So, I don't think you have really any right to say anything in regards to pornography ever at all in the rest of your fucking career or your life. So, how about shut the fuck up? Anyway, let's move on. The next thing we have is RuPaul getting a theatrical action comedy nabbed by Bleecker Street and Adam Shankman to direct. Isn't Adam Shankman one of the new guys of like? Or am I thinking of Matt Shackman?
No, you're talking about Matt Shackman. Shackman.
Yeah.
Adam Shankman is a different. I did hear his name recently, but I forget where we've talked about him before. But yeah. Okay, this is fun. I mean, RuPaul does a lot of. I mean, he's like James. I forget the proper pronoun, but RuPaul basically is like James Gunn for the drag race world. Never sleeps. Is always working, doing a million different things, and they've got albums of music. So I'm totally, not surprised that they've got an action comedy nabbed by Bleecker Street, based out of New York. It's like an indie studio. It's like a smaller version of A24. And World of Wonder, of course, produces everything Drag Race, RuPaul's Drag Race, that is. So, hey, this will be the first time RuPaul hits the big screen. So we'll see. It looks interesting. And Adam Shankman is a comedy director. Thank you, Monique. Thank you so much. By the way, quick thing from Monique earlier. She was like, what was the comment? Let me see if I can find it. Dan, your digs can change, but we got to see your sweet corgi. Yes. And actually, if you guys can, send your best wishes to that sweet corgi, because Zelda's been not feeling well of late. So hopefully she'll be doing better by the time I'm in my new digs. But yeah, you will see her on the show again eventually, like I said, when she's feeling better. But hey, let's keep on going here.
King can take his hex and shove it up his ass.
There you go. All right, let's move on to the next.
Speaking of magic, Shang-Chi. Simu Liu takes a shot at sequel delay while commenting on Man of Tomorrow announcement. But apparently your boy was really not very happy about it. But Simu Liu just had a kind of an expressionless face in regards to this getting announced so soon. I like this guy saying, I generally don't remember the last time a superhero movie had a sequel turnaround this fast. It was Batman and Robin. Less said about that, better. And Simu Liu was just kind of expressionless about it all. But at the end of the day, he still gave a thumbs up. So he gets his... We got the Simu Liu seal of approval, and we're still waiting on that Shang-Chi sequel that some people are excited for, while others not. So, you know, wish the best for you. But hey, he's going to be in Doomsday, so, you know, good for him.
Well, I think this is interesting because he didn't say anything that was directly offensive to anybody at Marvel. And then, you know, he did explain, and he was like, I'm excited. Things are going really well. And, you know, Destin Daniel Cretton is doing great stuff. And I'm, you know, going to be in these Avengers movies. But you could clearly tell this is not the first time he has publicly commented on, where's my sequel, Marvel? Kevin? Like, you took my director and gave him other movies, but what about Shang-Chi 2? Because during the pandemic era, Shang-Chi was the highest grossing Marvel movie. So it was one of the best rated too. So it's he was in his feelings. Anyway, let's keep on going. I think we're gonna get the sequel. It might end up being one of the mystery movies Marvel has on the calendar between the two Avengers movies, which would be really good if it was Shang-Chi 2. Because it's kind of like the Batman 2. Marvel seemingly forgot that they needed to do a sequel. Or I don't even know who's writing it. But actually, you know, you could say that about a couple of Marvel movies from Phase 5. Yeah, Phase 5. Anyway, John, let's keep on going here, shall we? Going from Marvel to the world of The Office. Because, John, we talked about it the other day. They've already landed a second season. And people are saying the first season of The Paper is more polished than the first seasons of The American Office, as well as Parks and Recreation, which were both by the same creators.
No fucking
which I think
shit.
is which is good, because again, like, just if you're apples to apples, it's a better first season. But if you guys haven't seen this, spoiler alert, because John, if you scroll down, remember Josh Holloway? You might remember him from Lost and other franchises, as well as the Duster show that just got canceled after one season on HBO. And then, of course, Yellowstone. He shows up in the episode called Scam Alert, playing himself, which I thought was kind of interesting. And it was part of this whole catfishing scam where somebody was using the celebrity Josh Holloway, to catfish other people and using the app Cameo. So, see, Cameo has a double meaning here. To create these videos where Josh Holloway, the actor, keeps getting paid for them, and then he makes these videos, which then the catfisher uses to catfish their victims, which is it's a lot to explain. But anyway, there you go. Yeah. Rest in peace, Dustin.
Thanks. I didn't realize Josh Holloway was still fucking relevant, but good for him. Next up, Silent Friend debuts in Venice with a 5 minutes fucking standing ovation. Like, God,
hey,
I feel like
this
their
is Lea
hands are just
Seydoux'
gonna be like all red after the fact. Like, Jesus Christ.
This is Lea Seydoux' big movie, at Venice, and I've been hearing about it for a while. You can see her there in her post-Bond era. Hi, Antonio, and hi, Mario. How are you guys doing? 5 minutes is like a quarter of the longest one we heard of. What was it, like 20 minutes? What was it? Was that the Dwayne Johnson movie? I forget which one. There was a movie that got 20. No, it was the voice of Hind Rajab. I think it was the one from about the girl in was it Gaza or anyway, we talked about it the other day. That movie got like a deserved 20-minute standing ovation. This 5 minutes is like small time numbers compared to what Venice has been doing for every other movie. But Silent Friends looks good. Lea Seydoux always looks good. So
yeah,
and the movie trailer actually, what I've seen of the movie looks good too. So not surprised, but it feels like 5 minutes is the bare minimum. these days.
Yes.
So.
But speaking of a good segue, Howl's Moving Castle will return to theaters for Studio Ghibli Fest. This has been going on for a while. That the entire Studio Ghibli catalog is being like re-released in theaters. So if you want to catch Howl's Moving Castle, and why would you want to? But like, you know, if you want to catch it, then go to the theater and watch it.
If you
honestly, this is going to be a hot take. I think Howl's Moving Castle is definitely one of the weakest Studio Ghibli movies. It's not bad. It's just very overrated. It's not even close to being as good as some of Hayao Miyazaki's or any other Studio Ghibli film, like Spirited Away, Kiki, Mononoke, When Marnie Was There. Fucking even Ponyo is better than Howl's Moving Castle, but that's just me.
No, I mean, I think a lot of people do share that opinion, but it's I think for me the
big
news
my sisters lambasted me for shitting on Howl's Moving Castle because I'm like, it's just like every like plot and subplot in the movie is like half-cocked. There's loose threads everywhere. Like no one like learns anything. They never really do anything. Like it's just kind of a mess. And there's like so many threads. It's like there's a war going on. Where did this fucking war come? Why is she old? Why is she not old? What the fuck is going on in this movie? And they were like, because you didn't pay attention. I'm like, no, I watched the movie. I just think it fucking is overrated because it makes no fucking sense.
I mean, anyway, you know more about the movie than I do. I'm just glad that the Studio Ghibli Fest, coming back for another year. And yeah, you know what? I do have to watch a lot more of the Studio Ghibli movies, so I'm excited to see one more.
Oh yeah, I mean every Studio Ghibli movie has beautiful animation. Like even like the simpler stuff, so unique. Like my neighbors, the Yamadas was also had good, very different animations. So.
It's kind of like the second genesis of really good hand-drawn animation. And when I say second genesis, in the Western sphere, you have Disney. In the Eastern sphere, you've got Studio Ghibli. So yeah, and guys, smash the like button if you're enjoying the show, like Antonio's telling y'all to. Antonio, Aja Lee returning, definitely excited, interested to see where they take it. I hope they don't overplay their hand, and we'll talk about some WWE in a little bit. But John, let's get on to some Star Wars stuff.
Anyway, so Star Wars, George Lucas and the making of Star Wars get the graphic novel treatment with Lucas Wars. So apparently it tells the very, very, very long story of George Lucas and his overall getting to the point of having the idea and then releasing the idea for Star Wars. So,
but also George Lucas, I mean, look, George Lucas not only changed the movies because of Star Wars and what we saw in the movie, he changed Hollywood forever. George Lucas, and in terms of how we make movies, obviously ILM comes out of George Lucas's Star Wars franchise, and they were the original and still are one of the best and biggest VFX studios. And then a lot of people don't realize, not only did we get Photoshop from the team that George Lucas put together, but George Lucas practically invented digital video editing. None of us would be doing anything on YouTube if it wasn't, I mean, sure, maybe we would eventually get there, but if it wasn't for George Lucas saying, we gotta like be able to that's the future of, film is digital editing. Even if you shoot on film and you then do a, digital intermediate, you still want to get to a point where it's easier to edit, where you're not cutting film together in the back in the day with like the way they used to. That's something that's underrated, and that eventually became Avid. I mean, and then with THX, he changed theatrical sound. So I can't wait to see, what kinds of stories they tell in this book, because George Lucas's impact on Hollywood goes well beyond just Star Wars. So, yeah. And then the first mega blockbuster. I mean, Jaws was also another one, but they were all in the same era. Exactly. There you go. Keep on going.
It was kind of in terms of blockbuster, I'm not talking about quality, but in terms of blockbuster, Jaws walked so Star Wars could run type of thing. Yeah. So,
yeah. Although Heath Ledger's Joker said you've changed things, not forever wasn't in the line, but I hear you.
Things forever. Anyway, but it's sort of because not many people remember this, but like the whole basic idea of like movies is it would like go from like location to location all across the country, and then they were like, why don't we just like do it all at the same time, like, and just have like a big thing for it. And Yep, it kind of went off from there. So, you know, if you want to catch this, then it's coming out soon. Fuck off, Hollywood Reporter. But yeah, but an English translation of the French story that was published 2023. So, you know, just on September 16th, they're going to be doing all this. So, yeah, good times had by all. Next up, we got, speaking of Star Wars, Darth Vader's lightsaber sells for a record $3.6 million at prop store auction. Cool. I can't buy a house, but this motherfucker can buy a lightsaber. Awesome. Great. Thanks. I just love living in the year 2025. Don't you, Dan?
I mean, housing is as expensive as it's ever been. It's practically unaffordable for many parts of the country. And even, you know, other parts of the world. We're just, you know, talking about the U.S. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think this is, well, if you put it in that context, obviously, like, yeah, somebody had just spent, what was it, 3.6 million? Yeah, 3.6 million at a prop store. But hey, you know what? It is Darth Vader's lightsaber. So we've seen things like this sell for a lot
from
more.
Like an old fucking camera, because that's what all the lightsabers were. They were like the handles for the fucking cameras that held the light bulbs. You could just grab one of those and make another one, and guess what? That'll probably cost like $10. You could buy an old camera off eBay and like make the same one for not as much money.
Hey, you know what? But these things are given value because we choose to give them value, and somebody valued the lightsaber from Darth Vader at $3.6 million. So congratulations to them, because, you know, like they say, one man's trash could be another man's treasure. And in this case, I think that might be true to a certain degree. So it is a lot of money.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. All right, let's keep on going. It wasn't the one used on the set. There you go.
But
that is true. All right, let's keep on going.
But next up, Netflix lands Saturn Return, starring Lois Lane, Rachel Brosnahan, Adam Warlock, Will Poulter, and Charles Melton. I don't know who that guy is, but you know.
If you can go down, I mean, I think the premise here, this is, by the way, being produced by Brad Pitt's company Plan B.
Yes.
And it was a, you know, highly sought after project. Is being directed by Greg Kiwader, whose recent film Sing Sing you might remember that they earned an Oscar nomination for Best Screenplay. So they've got a lot of good talent behind this. Of course, Rachel Brosnahan, you know, is a hot star right now, and then Will Poulter star rising. So, and they will definitely be like, you know, from producer Brad Pitt, like that's going to help it. So, and it's you know, first international outpost in London, because this project will be produced in the UK. So good for Plan B, one of the better production companies that an actor in Hollywood owns. Good evening, Movie Spot. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Pretty keno when it comes to that production company. It's better than, you know, Ryan Reynolds just buying other companies and then taking credit for it by being in their shitty commercials that I can't get rid of off my timeline. So, you know, fuck you, Mint Mobile, and fuck you, Aviation Gin. Fuck you both.
Is that just another Ryan Reynolds rant? Like, right?
I don't know. I'm not going into a rant. It's just stupid to me. Anyway.
Okay.
Next thing.
Yeah. Let's get into the next thing. Actually, can you don't play the video? Maybe just find a good freeze frame, because but I mentioned earlier we were going to talk about the WWE and
let's
in
get the
particular,
moneymaker here. Let's get John Cena.
Yeah, we got to talk about John Cena, if you can see him, that is, because he's there, right there, our Peacemaker himself. If you guys remember, or if you guys are paying attention, or if you guys are fans of wrestling, John Cena is going through his retirement tour this year. He's got what, like 6 or 7 dates left, but today they were in Chicago for what is now and has been John Cena's final appearance on SmackDown. I thought this was, you know, interesting, because John Cena started out on SmackDown. He made his debut in SmackDown in Chicago, no less. So I'm sure they timed this out well. And you know, SmackDown is now an official word in the dictionary, you know, and it's a full circle moment. And this had to do with like the current U.S. champion Sami Zayn, which was John Cena's very first singles championship he won. And then when he last held it, he did these open challenges where people can, like, young wrestlers who are not getting a spotlight are coming out to wrestle him, and then usually he would win, but it gave these other wrestlers a chance to prove themselves. And then Sami Zayn, another veteran who made his debut against John Cena as part of his open challenge. Now is making one of his own. So,
Enterprise. There's just a floating microphone there, Dan. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know, but if I'm just saying, if you squint hard enough, maybe you'll see, the hat and the shirt and the armbands, which John Cena just wears on his wrists because it's how big his arms are. But hey, there you go, John. It's kind of like, for me, it's a bittersweet in the sense that I have always loved. I think John Cena is the GOAT, so that's why
I think he's the GOAT because he's just like a wholesome boy, and he definitely he's like, I am proud to share my first name with him.
Yeah, well, it's also like he is the biggest ever Make-A-Wish Foundation grant.
Yeah, like he has like 160 something or shit like that. Like,
and it's crazy. One of the it's a rare occasion when the biggest star from the world of wrestling is also genuinely a good person behind the scenes. I'm not saying like everybody's.
I mean, the man had like one controversy, but it was like a non-controversy, so it was like whatever.
Like we talk about Hulk Hogan, The Rock, like even Stone Cold Steve, but like everybody that had like something where you're like, oh yes, like they're maybe not the best person, but they were a good, obviously a good guy. John Cena is genuinely a good guy, and we've got him in the world of DC. So John Cena might be leaving WWE soon, but he will be in the world of DC for hopefully a long time to come. So we will be getting a lot more of him. I mean, of course, as long as we can see him, that is. But that's the end of the quick hits because.
Well, there's still one
the
more.
Best for last.
We got.
Oh yes, there is.
Jimon Hansu.
Thank you. Monique brought this up earlier.
Yes. So apparently, Jimon Hansu, one of the many goats, has joined Henry Cavill in "We Will Watch Your Career with Great Interest." Anyway, but he is joining the new Highlander, just like stacked fucking cast. Like, speaking of wrestlers, Dave Bautista is in this. With having a Guardians of the Galaxy reunion with Karen Gillan, but now it's this reunion just got a whole lot bigger. Anyway, but Jimon Hansu is also returning for that Guardians of the Galaxy reunion, as it says right in the log line there. But he's coming in. I don't know what character he's playing. Maybe it says here, but
I haven't actually read this.
Hansu will play one of the he will play one of the Highlanders from Africa. Well, yeah, of course, but so Bautista is going to be playing the villain, and then Karen Gillan is going to be playing Connor MacLeod's Scottish and very mortal wife, and Abella is MacLeod's modern romantic love interest, while Russell Crowe will play an Egyptian Spanish individual, just keeping that tradition of whitewashing, Sean Connery being the original one, and him attempting to do a Spanish accent didn't work. I'm really curious how they're gonna do Russell Crowe in this, but like just gotta keep the tradition, gotta keep the whitewash things going, like, ooh.
Yeah. I mean, Highlander is just looking more and more epic by the day, and this is one of those movies. They're going to put this out in theaters, unlike the Voltron movie. So, just the fact you got a Henry Cavill in there alone, and then everybody else they've added on top: Dave Bautista, Karen Gillan, of course, Jor-El, aka Russell, Russell Crowe, and then now Jimon Hansu, who's in a lot of movies. I mean, he's probably one of the most prolific character actors of our time, and deserves a lot more credit than he gets. So. Excited to see him in Highlander. I can't wait to see who next joins the Highlander franchise at this point. But John, now we have officially come to the end of the quick hits. So guys, let us know in the comments down below what you thought about the news and the quick hits. Hit that like button if you're enjoying the show. Sorry, my voice is I'm struggling a little bit, but we'll work our way through the show as long as I can. And hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. If you haven't already, that's 52,000 of you and then some have subscribed already. Hit that red subscribe button under the video. And of course, we're going to keep on rolling here, John, because, as I like to say, it's that time. It's time. And like Enterprising is, MTG is saying, usually it's Enterprising first to it. And Anthony just joining just in time. Just in time.
It's time.
But as I was saying,
it's time.
It's DC time.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka!
All right. Oh. Oops. There we go. Welcome.
Anyway, Dan, why don't you start?
Hey, welcome on into another episode of DCU Daily. Of course, we have a lot of Superman stuff to talk about, some Lex Luthor stuff with Man of Tomorrow coming out soon. And of course, we cannot, not talk about Peacemaker. If you can see him, that is John Cena. We will get into more news from the world of the Peacemaker, as well as where that show is headed, the implications for the future of the DCU, a lot of James Gunn related stuff. Of course, we have a bunch of quickest. We have a potential tease in the new Clayface movie because they're shooting in the UK right now, and we might have gotten a hint at maybe another DC character joining the DCU. They might even have a background presence in the Clayface movie. And beyond that, we've got lots more to discuss. As always with me, like you heard him just a moment ago, is John. How are you doing? And what are you most excited to talk about from the world of DC?
I'm honestly kind of excited to talk about Peacemaker. I'm still kind of on the high from how good that last episode was. So, I kind of want to talk about that. So, yeah, Peacemaker time. But we're going to get into, quicker stuff in the beginning. But, Peacemaker, always good to talk about. And I'm curious to talk about Man of Tomorrow for a little bit. But honestly, I'm more of in a Peacemaker mood today,
All right.
Being the day after.
Yeah. Well, it's you've had another day to sit with the surprises of episode 3 of season 2. But like we said, we got some DC quick hits. Hey, and Nelson, we talked about it earlier. Thank you for the quick thank you for the super chat, and thank you for joining the show. We really appreciate the support. And yes, AJ Lee return. I mean, they've been teasing it for the longest time, so yeah, I'm glad that they did not hold on to that for too long. They definitely have been teasing that for months and fairly blatantly, especially when CM Punk got slapped 5 times by Becky Lynch. So it was about damn time. I hope it ends up better than when Nikki Bella and John Cena teamed up against The Miz and Maurice. I hope it's a higher profile feud. But anyway, do you keep those in it? You know what? That's a good question, Anthony. Completely hypothetical. If they do a separate ventriloquist and Scarecrow movie, I just don't think there's enough box office potential. But I mean, you would need to have a really good vision, and either that or James Gunn must really want it to happen. So I don't think it's happening. But do you think they can survive as solo movies, or do you think they would need to pair them up?
I don't know why you're bringing up Scarecrow and ventriloquist. Yeah. This. Two of the weirdest,
Anthony might be watching from early because we were talking about horror movies earlier, so maybe that's where that's from. But anyway, John,
awesome.
Let's get into the quick hits, the DC quick hits.
The best shot of the movie, easily. I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah, and Crytrix Media. We've got your comment. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I did want to mention this here, John, is kind of epic because Framestore, one of the many VFX studios that worked on Superman, posted these, before and afters of the VFX shots. Plate in the VFX world is basically what you shoot on camera, the original base shot that you then work on to produce what you get in the end. And I'm surprised that the moon part of the shot was all practical. And then
a lot of the stuff is practical. Like it's how
the lighting reference is all practical. They removed Crypto. Well, obviously the reference dog for Crypto they removed and it was completely animated, but a lot of that is animated, which is exciting. I like it. And then as we go forward, there's other stuff here that's even more impressive. You can see how much of Lex Luthor's face they had to paint out here with the wire, like a good chunk of his jaw and probably his nose for Nicholas Hoult. And then you could see they shot a lot of her. I'm sure this is not the only plate because in this situation they probably shot Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor without the engineer being there at all. So then they had multiple plates and they composited them together. But still, it's impressive because you could tell that they based it off of plate photography in camera, but then they did a lot of extensions, like all the crystals in the background. That's not easy to do. You could tell the amount of work that went into that. So while some of these photos are a bit misleading, I mean, this one probably a much simpler, compositing thing where you got an animated crypto, and in the foreground of the plate, you've got Superman. You simply just rotoscope Superman, and then you do some compositing work to make it all blend with the CGI crypto.
You blend.
And then the last shot, literally, the last shot, I think this one here is underrated because unless you really know what was done in post, which I mean I can't speculate on everything, but my guess would be they extended a lot of the Fortress of Solitude crystal structures. They added the
see up here, over
thing,
here,
right? But also, John, not only did they replace the Superman robots, which were you could see in the bottom image, they were all just actors with tracking markers. I also think they recomposed this image because you look at where some of the rocks are, where some of the crystals are. You could see, some of the new rock formations were added. There was a whole new crystal formation added there. So, yeah, if you compare the two, you could see that they not only added things, they've also recomposed elements of the scene. So there's a lot of work that went into it, but it also goes to show you how much of it was done practically. Like they literally had probably 80% of that shot, practically done, which is impressive. And these are always good insights into what they're doing behind the scenes because a lot of work goes into it, and that's why James Gunn wanted a year for post-production, so we didn't have a situation where again we're rushing through these shots, and that's why it looks so good. So I think that's the lesson to be learned here. But let's keep on going.
And
John.
remember, guys, Gary's a name. And I watched, fun fact, I watched the that was an ad lib by Alan Tudyk, and when he's saying the line, they had to do it because when he says the line, David Cornswet is giggling like a schoolgirl, throughout the whole thing. He's just straight up giggling so hard. Well, Alan Tudyk is seriously giving this fucking line. It's great. But now we move on to James Gunn knowing his obscure comic book knowledge. Obviously, Condiment King.
James Gunn, your nerd is showing.
Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man, the Doom Patrol villain. There are a couple I don't know here. I knew some of the earlier ones, but I didn't know. I don't know Lump or whatever the fuck. So, But just goes to show how he knows his obscure knowledge. He knows his very obscure comic book characters and all that stuff. So hats off to Mr. Gunn there. So
nice.
Same here.
Let's keep on rolling.
Yeah. But yeah, people asking, yo, James Gunn, how much have you done of Man of Tomorrow? He's like, I've pretty much done all of it, just in the necessary and lengthy stage, or rewriting some more. It's been a lot of fun trying to get some done now before Peacemaker airs because we like to watch it as soon as it comes on. So yeah, because I know people were asking that yesterday.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. You were saying.
No. People were asking yesterday, oh, what has he done? And it's he says here that he's pretty much done the script. With the exception of maybe small rewrites here and there.
Yeah, the most impressive thing about this is, or the biggest newsworthy update is that he's already written the whole script and he's just rewriting now and rewriting. So he's iterating on a complete script. So we were trying to figure out, has he finished the whole script? Because did he greenlight Man of Tomorrow without finishing a finished script? Well, clearly it's not a completed script, so it still sort of goes against his idea of a finished script because he's still rewriting. But I understand, he knows what he wants out of this movie, so he can make an exception for himself. But hey, it goes to show you, if you could, get into James Gunn's laptop, you might be able to get a full copy of this thing, even if it's not finished. So it tells you how far along he is, working on this. So yeah, and he is a comic book fan. I know why it's going in and out. I'll fix that. I'm multitasking here, so yes.
Multitasking, lots of But speaking of Peacemaker episode 3, it's out now, guys.
Good prediction.
Michael Rooker, this was his first appearance in the show. Good old Cupid doll and Sasha Bordeaux, Tim Meadows, Amelia Harcourt, and John Economos all showcasing nice little photo in the background where we see Judo Master for the first time. So hell yeah. Love to see it. And it's just like, if you have not seen Peacemaker episode 3 just yet, go watch it now. Hell yeah. Not Kite Man, hell yeah, but Peacemaker, hell yeah. Eat peace, motherfuckers. But next up, this is the slate for all upcoming DC projects that have been greenlit, not announced, greenlit. And that is Supergirl coming June, because it's only a rumor that it's being pushed back to May, but June 26, 2026. That's when it's still coming out. Lanterns is either going to come out right before or right after Supergirl. I think James Gunn said it's going to come out right before. Clayface is coming out on September 11th, 2026. Then after that, we are going to be getting Man of Tomorrow in 2027, and along with the Batman. And this was the first time, because it was supposed to be this year, but obviously we know Batman got delayed. But in 2027, it's going to be the first time a Batman and a Superman film is going to appear on the big screen. And then finally, Dynamic Duo. It is coming out June 30th, 2028, and we'll get into more of that later on. But this is the slate. This is what we are going to be getting in the next 3 years so far. Obviously, we still haven't gotten news on Swamp Thing, Brave and the Bold, or The Authority. And then obviously, we, in terms of TV shows, we haven't gotten news on Booster Gold, Waller, and there was another one. I forget what the other one was. But yeah, I think this is definitely very exciting. And I think we're eating good. DC fans are eating good. But Paradise Lost was the other one. That's the one I kind of forget. But we also have
Creature Commando is also season 2.
Yes, we're going to be getting Creature Commando season 2 at some point. The Blue Beetle animated series, that Mr. Miracle animated series, as well as stuff not connected to the DCU like Cape Crusader and Kite Man, if those are coming back. Then we have, the Wonder Woman movie, the Teen Titans movie, the allegedly Bane and Deathstroke movie, Sergeant Rock. So,
yeah. Well, I think
obviously we have
Dynamic Duo.
These are the stuff that's like actually greenlit, is in post-production, or it's probably going to be Elseworlds.
Yeah. And I mean, Peacemaker episode 3 was fire. I think Peacemaker probably gets a season 3 too, so we'll probably have a season 3 for that as well. Paradise Lost still exists, but it's not officially.
That was the thing. He was just talking about, like, what was the other show that I couldn't think of. It was that.
And then Waller is still somewhere in Booster Gold, you mentioned. It would be nice if Blue Beetle and Bloodsport were, but I don't
think that's happening anymore, because
I think
Jurassic
James Gunn
saw my rant, and then that's not fucking happening.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Rick Flag Jr. return. Well, I mean, Jordan, you kind of did. So unless you haven't seen Peacemaker episode 3, but anyway, moving on to the next thing, John. Speaking of Clayface, we might be getting another DC hero in Clayface, because if you look at this set photo in Gotham City, there's a Black Canary, which looks like either as a bar or, I don't know, like a brewery or something like that, the way that signage looks. if you were to care to guess, do you think this is where Black Canary hangs out in the DCU Gotham City?
I mean, it could be for. It could be for a club. It could be for because she is like uh, uh, a nightclub singer in some continuities. So it's entirely possible that this could be advertising that, or it could be just ironic, like sort of like a name drop, like, oh, it's the name of a club, but it also could be the name of a hero. And, I'm sure like they're going to address it, but it's nice to see that we're getting some kind of, yeah, it just seems like a little Easter egg, cute little Easter egg. But I still think it could, open the door for Black Canary to come in, because I would love to see a Green Arrow Black Canary movie. So,
well, I'll also say, while this might be an Easter egg, it could easily set up a future appearance, right? It's possible. I mean, and then also Clayface is taking place in the present day of the DCU. To answer your question, Tony. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a Black Canary. We've talked about it. Maybe that could be a Fancast Friday option down the road. Maybe a Black Canary in the DCU. But yeah, and for this movie though, it just seems like it's an extra world building element, unless we see maybe the uncostume iteration of the. Oh, I forget what the name of the character is. Who is Black Canary in the DC in the DC comics? Like who's their alter ego? What's their name?
Dinah Laurel Lance.
Oh yeah, okay. So maybe we'll get to meet, either Laurel Lance in the movie and not actually see them as Black Canary. Maybe they haven't become the Black Canary yet, or maybe we just see them in their civilian clothes. So that will be interesting.
It would be very nice to see.
Yeah,
not played by Charlie Hunnam, because no. He has
to always
go
do a fantastic.
Have him play Green Arrow. No.
Anyway, let's keep on going here, shall we, John? We've got a couple more quick to get into.
But speaking of dynamic duo, I mentioned this before, but Scott Newst, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. Mike and Michael H. Weber are rewriting DC Studios' dynamic duo. The film follows Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, both serving as Robins as they train alongside Batman to protect Gotham, which is an interesting way of doing it. Maybe it's like Dick Grayson's kind of on the way out and then Jason Todd comes in, but they're still both technically Robins. So curious about that.
I mean, to me, the biggest thing here is that they rewrite the whole script, which is telling in the sense that, does it mean like, there's something off about it? Like, do they need, like, because if you're rewriting it, that usually means that, they have changed the story, or maybe it just wasn't good enough. Maybe somebody looked at it and hadn't looked at it before. Maybe James.
Shit happens. Like they had to rewrite Mike Flanagan's Clayface script because it had to fit into the DCU. So, I don't think this is a bad thing. It just it's a different perspective.
Hi, Ron. But speaking of if it is for continuity's sake, do you think it's because they're gonna now include this story within the continuity of the DCU?
I don't think so. I think maybe they wanted a lighter tone, or they wanted a darker tone, and they it was too light, let's make it darker. It's too dark, let's make it light. So I'm curious how they're gonna do that. And but whatever, or it could be a trillion different things. Like maybe they wanted more Dick Grayson screen time, so they gave him more screen time, or they wanted more Jason Todd screen time, or they wanted more Batman screen time. I don't fucking know. I'm just saying they rewrote the script, whatever it was, the original version wasn't working, and they had to rewrite it. That's it. That's all we know. And we know that it's going to be the two of them as Robins under the tutelage of Batman. That's all we know. So, and it could be bullshit for all we know. So, it's the Wrap, and the Wrap is, it's not like one of the top three. So,
that's fair. That's fair. Well, you guys let us know. Do you think dynamic duo being rewritten by Scott and Michael, we'll just call him, or Michael Scott, Michael Scott, for DC Studios dynamic duo, what does that mean? Does that mean they're trying to make it aligned with the DCU continuity? That's the reason why they rewrote Clayface, or parts of it. or are they just doing a page one rewrite, which would be pretty much rewriting the whole thing? You let us know in the comments down below. But with that, John, we have to move over, and now we got to talk about the man that we sometimes can see, John Cena, and most people can't see him, but you did see Peacemaker episodes 1 through 3, and so far the show has been absolutely fantastic. But episode 4 on the way, John. James Gunn has been addressing the mention of a former DCEU character played by what was her name? Cara Delevingne, once upon a time, who got a mention in episode 3 by the returning Joel Kinnaman's Rick Flag Jr. And he kind of explained how all of this is going to work, saying Joel and I are good friends. Joel Kinnaman, who's actually on the latest edition of the Peacemaker podcast, and James Gunn continued saying, so I asked him to do me a favor, but I also wanted to give him an opportunity to do something that's purely comedic, because he's a really funny guy. He's never been in a comedy his entire life. So being able to show him doing this sort of namby-pamby version of Rick Flag Jr., every time I watch those scenes, I laugh out loud. And he also addressed, I think we're going to get into it a little bit later, John, the idea that June Moon is canon to the DCU. I think if you go to that Instagram post, he was interviewed and asked about it, and the way he explains it, if it's addressed in the show, no, to the Instagram one.
Clicked on the wrong thing, my bad.
Yeah, if it's addressed in the show on screen by somebody's dialogue reference, like June Moon, was referenced by Rick Flag Jr., who's the alternate version of the character, not the version that was in the prime timeline. Let's call it the original DCU timeline, or that's even confusing. But the point is, June Moon is sort of canon to the DCU now, because it looks like Rick Flag Jr. was dating her, or they were partners, and then he was sort of, I don't know, he was cheating on her with Hardcore. So yeah, exactly, like you just demonstrated visually there, John. But I think this clears it up a little bit. So June Moon is technically canon. I think in the roundtable discussion, he also said the same thing. Like, look, everything they mentioned directly within the show or show within the show, that's canon. Everything else is like bad memory. So this is not the first time he's mentioned it. Anything else that you got to add on to it? The idea that the character that you thought was least going to be part of the DCU canon, especially because it wasn't even part of the Suicide Squad James Gunn directed, is now technically canon to the DCU.
Yeah. It's, I just like the idea of like him being like, here's the thing. I think James Gunn is trying to have his cake and eat it too in regards to that. I think he should just say, like, just keep it as everything that, like, because he said this multiple times. It's not canon until it's mentioned, and he should leave it at that. He shouldn't be. If people ask him continuity, he just should say the same thing over and again. It's not canon until it's mentioned, and then because the Peacemaker podcast helped out a little bit. Like, okay, so because he's essentially saying everything is pretty much canon except the Justice League, which now we know they got replaced with the Justice Gang in addition to Superman and Supergirl, and on top of the fact. In addition, maybe a couple other things, like, Aquaman probably isn't as big of a hero. Green Arrow, maybe not. Who knows? Batmite probably isn't, which kind of sucks, but and a bunch of other things. And I think he should just stick to the idea. It's not canon till it's said. Boom, there we go. And just keep it at that instead of just continually talking about it, because I think you're just kind of losing people. And because he said that initially, and then he said a whole bunch of other stuff that was not that, and then people got more confused, and I think he's just doing too much, and I think he should just keep it as what he initially said and just stay the course and not try to confuse people more.
I think this is where James Gunn is too much of a nerd himself, and I feel like he doesn't want to let people down. Whereas that's Kevin Feige clearly is not. I mean, he's also a nerd clearly, but he's somebody who's more adept at holding information back. Whereas James Gunn wants to give you an answer whenever he possibly can, outside of giving away spoilers. I think this is where he kind of talks. He's talked himself in circles a few times. We've talked about it plenty. But hey, you know what? Enchantress, apparently, or at least a version of the Enchantress, June Moon, is part of the DCU canon officially. Will we get to see her? Probably not. I would be surprised, but you know, we'll see. We'll see. There's 5 more episodes to go, so we'll see if Peacemaker season 2 has a few more surprises up its sleeve. But John, speaking of surprises up its sleeve, we know James Gunn has been teasing this really, really, really big cameo, but there was a photo posted on Instagram today, and we've all speculated that maybe, you know, since this is a supposed sequel, a direct follow-up to Superman, maybe Superman, Man of Steel himself, David Cornsweet, in character might show up in Peacemaker. And now we've got this behind-the-scenes look. You saw it on the thumbnail, John. If you want to scroll down, we can take a look at this. Do you think Superman himself, do you think David Cornsweet might be the big cameo in Peacemaker season 2? Because today David Cornsweet posted this photo from, it looks like, I think when they were filming in Atlanta and sound stages across from each other, which is something James Gunn has mentioned before. It allowed him to be able to direct both things or keep an eye on Peacemaker while he was directing Superman. You see David Cornsweet in costume, and you see John Cena in his Peacemaker costume from the episode that just aired this week, episode 3. Does this hint at the idea that maybe we are getting, you know, David? It would have been very easy for him to just walk across the street and make a quick appearance. Like, hair and makeup's already done. He's in costume. It saves the money, which Peter Safran would love.
Or maybe we're adding to my theory that we talked about. Because remember, my theory is that the perfect world is, in fact, a Nazi-occupied world after they won World War II. It's very interesting. They, you know, do a lot of interesting things, little eagle eye things, no pun intended. So maybe technically he didn't spoil it, because he's not Superman in the show, but he's in fact Overman, who's the Nazi version of Superman. So
that would be interesting, because the last time we saw an evil Superman was like the Arrowverse, right? Am I wrong in remembering that?
Yes. Well, unless you count the Injustice movie that came out a few years ago, which was not very good, but
well, yeah. I guess you can also talk about the nightmare sequences and all those Zack Snyder DCEU movies, which I kind of forgot about for a moment, because I don't think Henry Cavill's Superman needed that. But
it could definitely, like, it would be really funny if they do decide to do, like, if they portray that and we have Nazi Superman, it could, like, 100% make fun of the whole, like, evil Superman trope and just, like, make him a bitch. And, like, it would also be really fun, kind of like how Homelander's a fucking little bitch. It would be really funny. Maybe, like, Overman is, like, you know, is a superior race, all that shit, and he's like, and especially the milk from the woman, and he just starts drinking breast milk, and he's like, yes, I am superior. And then Peacemaker's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Why do you have a breast milk fetish, you fucking weirdo? And then just completely make fun of, like, Homelander's weird ass fucking titty milk fetish. I don't know. It's just like, I think that would be funny. Just any way to shit on Homelander and the boys is good with me. So I think that would be funny. And that would be a good opportunity if they are planning that. I'm just saying.
I kind of missed the Homelander mention at the beginning of your theory, and then so I was surprised. Well, like, wait, where did you go with that whole anyway? But I get it. I get it. Homelander might be dying in this Gen V spinoff show anyway. So, and you know, clearly Anthony Starr.
And then we can never. We don't have to see that prick ever again. Yay. But anyway.
Yep. But hey, you know what? Peacemaker will continue at episode 4 next week. We're gonna keep talking about it, and whenever there's any more news, you guys let us know. What do you think about the June Moon canon to the DCU now? That character that James Gunn never directed himself, but you know, it is part of Rick Flag Jr.'s past as a character. And hey, are you enjoying Peacemaker? Let us know in the comments below, because we will bring those in for the Q&A session, which we're about to do in a little bit. But until then, let's move on and talk about the Man of Tomorrow, John, because the Man of Tomorrow is the next follow-up not just to Superman, but also apparently, if we are led to be to believe, according to some rumors, it's meant to be a follow-up not just to Superman. It's a rumor. It's also Man of Tomorrow is going to follow up the entirety of the Super Family saga, if you want to call it that, which James Gunn has. It's the next chapter following what we got with Superman, Peacemaker, what we will get with Supergirl, and then Daniel Rickman, who's one of the big scoopers in Hollywood. Was saying that he's heard Superman and Lex are going to team up in Man of Tomorrow, saying that the iconic villain that Nicholas Hoult is portraying is not just teaming up with Superman, he's the co-lead of the movie. John, do you believe? I mean, based on the artwork, obviously James Gunn has hinted at that. He's also been very careful about not calling it Superman Man of Tomorrow. It's just Man of Tomorrow. So do you think Lex Luthor might be a bigger part of the movie? Plus also the rumor here suggests that this could be a part of a rehabilitation in the eyes of the metropolis public and the greater, public of the earth in DCU. People sort of maybe realizing that
I'm a black Superman. Anyway,
I definitely see the reference there, but also the idea that this could all be leading up to eventually Lex Luthor running for president. I mean, do you believe all of that, or do you think we're jumping a little too far ahead?
I think it's definitely a good theory to have, because that's kind of the theory that pretty much everyone has who realize that, it's not a Superman sequel. Like, you have all the clickbaity sites and all these other people saying, it's Superman Man of Tomorrow, it's a Superman sequel. But people who have an eagle-eye view, who have listened to what James Gunn has been saying, they're like, well, not really. They're not really doing like the whole traditional sequel, as James Gunn has said. So the only two things that make sense here is this, or Lex Luthor is the main protagonist and Superman is the antagonist. Or it could be both. It could be both. It could be either, they have to stop Brainiac together and, he has to have the mech suit, all that shit. Or they start off as antagonists and then have a team up at the end of the movie, but that might be raising BVS vibes, so they might not do that. Or Lex Luthor is just straight up the protagonist of the movie and Superman is a major character, because that's what James Gunn said, was he's going to be a major character, he's just not going to be the lead. So my theory is that it's going to be a Lex Luthor movie. So, but this is also plausible because it's one of two things. It's either they're doing it together or it's going to be Lex Luthor's movie. So it's one or the other, I think. And it obviously it could be something way different that we don't know. So we'll just have to wait and see. But it's probably going to be a team up or a Lex Luthor movie. So yeah. That's but hey,
makes this
that's just a theory, a film theory.
What I will say though, Nicholas Hoult during the promotion for Superman talked about Lex Luthor in a way that you can now look back at. But I'm like, if you go down there in the article, John, Nicholas Hoult was talking about Lex Luthor during the promotion for Superman, and he was doing it in a way that, if you look back now in hindsight, might be like, just hiding in plain sight the idea that James Gunn was already talking to Nicholas Hoult and maybe David Cornsweet and others about this Man of Tomorrow movie when they were making Superman, because Nicholas Hoult described his version of Lex as saying, when you're playing a villain, it's easy to be like, I'm the bad guy. But actually, if you stand back and look at this, it's beliefs and almost his love of humanity and protection, and this idea that they should be masters of their own fate and destiny. And the rest of society has kind of fallen into this path of trusting Superman, believing.
Well, let's not get crazy here. We're a TV show and a movie.
Yes.
Let's not get crazy here.
You're jumping ahead, but basically what he was saying is like the idea that society has fallen into this path of trusting Superman, believing in him, and giving him what Lex would view as all power and freedom. So it's like, where does this jurisdiction and law and protection of humanity come into that? it's sort of, if you think of it that way from Lex's perspective, he's just playing the healthy skeptic. Although there's nothing healthy about 1A, 1A, 1A. I do understand the perspective, and of course we know he's getting ready because he said, "I'm getting my razor. I'm gonna go go shave myself." I'm not. He said it. Nicholas Hoult is gonna shave himself bald because the man looks good.
I'm gonna shave myself in preparation. So I have to continually shave because mine grows like a weed. So,
John, there it is again. The question: do you think this is a soft launch towards a Jurassic League movie?
I'm fucking gargle these goddamn nuts. Anyway,
I think it's a soft launch maybe towards a Justice League movie because it potentially sets up the Justice Gang to turn into the Justice League eventually. I think it's more intriguing the idea that they might be, following the path where eventually Lex Luthor becomes the president of the country, like President Lex Luthor. That would be interesting to me, John, because that's not something we have seen in live action before.
I mean, we kind of sort of saw it in Smallville for like 2 seconds, but like that was like very like small, but that's the closest we've gotten for President Lex Luthor. So
Ron is getting in on the action with the Jurassic League stuff. Anyway, yeah, he did. Luthor did join the Justice League during Rebirth. So maybe I don't know. I'm not saying that's where they're going with this. But John, speaking of Lex Luthor's armor, we did get a hint at what it might look like already in the Superman toy line, because according to this roundup here of all the different details from what we know about Man of Tomorrow, Movie Titan on Instagram, they posted saying that Nicholas Hoult gifted Gunn a graded copy of Superman 167 from 1964, which is a comic featuring a Luthor Brainiac team up. And then Gunn posted, of course, saying, "Can't wait for you to meet Lex," as in can't wait for Brainiac to meet Lex, which I think plays into our theory from yesterday that maybe Brainiac is the villain of the movie. And maybe that's, maybe at one point they team up like Lex Luthor and Brainiac, but then they realize that this is too big of a threat to our planet. So then Lex Luthor and Superman team up.
The theory that you keep mentioning,
the motive. Yep. Or maybe he wants to rehabilitate his image, and maybe he genuinely has a character arc where he, redeems himself somehow. And then, of course, official storyboards for the Superman movie that we just got did include some images that we haven't, yet seen. Well, we never got them in the movie, where Supergirl, Krypto, and Superman are all shown together. So maybe that leads us into a Justice League proper eventually. So all the breadcrumbs are there, John. And if you keep cycling through this, not only do we get, Lex Luthor and Superman fighting each other, but then eventually teaming up, it looks like, or maybe the other way around. But also we know Jon Stewart's going to be the main Green Lantern of this universe. So building up to Justice League would make sense.
Looking good, Aaron Pierre.
It's good. It's good. And then we know Hawkgirl's already going to be, in this movie because she's already been like, "See you soon." That's all great. But John, if you keep on going here, James Gunn has kept on dropping these Brainiac hints, and then we of course have to talk about. I think if you find the artwork of the Super Family, I think we're gonna get a team up eventually. Supergirl and Superman, and Krypto, and then the Lex Luthor suit. It looks like we already know what kind of is gonna look like because we already have these action figures. So all these little breadcrumbs, John. What do you think? Is it true that this is? We're looking at pretty much the Justice League here, minus of course Green Lantern and Hawkgirl, and maybe we'll see which version of Green Lantern, I suppose. Maybe Peacemaker joins. Go back to the previous one. That's the Super Family photo. Do you think this is what it's all leading to? Is this where it's all going?
We can only hope.
Yeah. It would be really, really interesting if that is where we're headed. I really love what Movie Titan did here because they're putting all the pieces together. Now, some of this is really speculative, but I don't mind this design of the suit. What do you think? If this
I like this, I like the slicked back look. I like, for instance, that this kind of slick back look was shown for Supergirl when John Cryer was Lex and he had that suit. I kind of like the slick back look, but at the same time, it looks like every other generic, like armored suit. However, I feel like that would be better than a clunkier suit. But whatever it is, I like both. I think both could work, but the bigger, clunkier suit that's like in this like in the comics and this artwork below, that's like the more like, I don't know. It's just like it looks like more like a powerful mech. Like I could believe that this Lex Luthor would try to go up against Superman in this mech suit. This just looks like kind of generic armor. However, Lex Luthor is so intelligent that he can make something that looks as powerful as this in this suit because he's that intelligent, and he can go toe to toe with Superman in this like kind of sleeker suit. But I don't mind either. I maybe would prefer slightly this one, but I still like this one.
Okay. Yeah. I was just gonna say it's they're probably gonna change it up now that the the toys
Right.
were out. But also, what I like about these suits is it's a natural evolution of the Raptor suits that we got.
Right.
Like the Raptors,
That
like
too.
all the goons. So it's grounded in the story
That's true.
logic of
That's
Superman
true.
and continuing in
But
that
this,
world.
to be fair, this
So
world is very
yes.
comic booky, so
Yeah. Yep. And Hunter, we will get into that later on. I don't think I've been able to get through that on Instagram, but we'll keep an eye on that. So thank you, Hunter, for sending that stuff over. Thank you, and I appreciate that, MTG. I do like that. Again, the continuity will be there, and you can evolve the suit over time. Like you can change it, you can add to it, you can have special versions of it. Sell more toys. In other words, but yeah, John, that's all the Man of Tomorrow stuff we have for today. But let us know about all those theories, guys, in the comments. Which of these do you believe, guys and gals? Let us know in the comments if you think it's all leading up to Brainiac. Do you think they're going to save him for a Justice League movie, or is that going to be the Man of Tomorrow villain? And then also, of course, the design of the suit. What would you like to see? Do you like what you see in the action figures? And hey, is Lex Luthor going to be a good guy eventually? Because I feel like he did some pretty irredeemable things on Superman, including murder. I don't know how you come back from that.
Jesse Eisenberg fucking murdered people, so
Yeah, but he never got a chance to become President Lex Luthor. So I don't know if President Luthor, is that going to be a thing in the DCU? Let us know in the comments down below. All right. Well, with that, John, now we are moving on to, of course, the Q&A session, which is one of my favorite parts of the show, because we talk about it every Friday. We bring your comments in. So if you guys are leaving comments like a lot of you do on these shows, then we bring those in. We're not talking about the live chat here. We're talking about the comments below on YouTube, because we like to highlight some of those. John, you picked these out yourself. Why don't you walk us through some of these, and let's get into the Q&A.
Also, shout out to Elite Easy. I know you're watching this after the fact, but you had so many goddamn comments. I could only pick one. You had a lot of good stuff to choose from, so I only picked one from you, but we still appreciate all those comments that you left a couple days ago. So don't think we don't see them. We do see them, just you left a lot, so we couldn't include every single one. But we did include one, and we still appreciate it. So the first one comes from someone named Fatal J. I don't think we've seen them on. They could be like, because I know that the chat name and the username is different sometimes. Like it's like Elite Easy has like numbers after it in their username, so it could be different. It could be someone we know or not know. But anyway, Fatal J is left this comment, pretty much just being very nice. Awesome coverage. I appreciate how you tied the Clayface set photos with the Supergirl release news. Clayface is such a fascinating pick because he can bring both horror vibes and emotional depth to the DCU, depending on how Gunn uses him. And shifting Supergirl's release date might actually be smart. Giving her movie more breathing room could build better hype and avoid box office clashes. Really good points. This video makes me even more excited for where DC Studios is heading. We very much appreciate that, Fatal J. Thank you for your comment. But yeah, I think whatever they decide to do with Supergirl, I think it's good where it is, but I could also see them like just kind of skirting it back a little bit to give it a little bit more time for those big summer months. So to avoid, as he said, clashes, possible ones maybe in July. So but yeah, I think whatever Clayface, I mean, we were talking about horror movies, like the fact that we're getting like a DC horror movie with not only this but eventually Swamp Thing, if James Mangold ever comes in to do that after he does his alleged Star Wars film. So you can do a lot of different things with these characters, and I feel the fact that James Gunn is so knowledgeable and knows that there are different genres for certain characters, I think that's very helpful because it shows his vast knowledge and trying to like get a one up on superhero fatigue by giving us very, very different characters and stories with those characters. So I am very excited for where it's heading as well, and I'm very excited for Clayface. I'm cautious on Lanterns and Supergirl. I've voiced my concerns previously, but I'm at least very excited for Clayface because Mike Flanagan. I think James Watkins is a pretty good director. I think Tom Rhys Harris is a pretty good actor. So that's a very exciting thing for me as a horror fan. But yes, on to the next comment. We have Elite Easy saying John had a pitch perfect take on Bob Kane, and I went on a little bit of a mini rant the other day on Bob Kane being a horrible, horrible human being because he essentially screwed Bill Finger out of his legacy. And I'm not going to go into it a lot here because I would say go watch the Batman and Bill documentary. It's on Hulu. Well, for when Hulu is still a thing. So I would say go give that a watch. It gives you more perspective. I think also the YouTube user Comic Tropes also had a very good video on it. So if you want to know more about Bob Kane and how much of a despicable dickhead he is, then go watch that. But thank you, because if I can call out Bob Kane continually, I will, because fuck Bob Kane. The next and last comment we have is from JB 1138. Haven't seen you in a while, but thank you for commenting. Kind of talking about what we were talking about a little bit earlier with Justice League. I kind of agree with JB here. I don't think they're going to use Justice League as a movie title anytime soon or use those characters. It's kind of damaged at this point. It has a lot of baggage because of the production problems of the 2017 movie that led to, Joss Whedon coming in, reshooting like a ton of the movie, it not feeling what Zack Snyder wanted to do because he had to go to his family and be with them after the death of his daughter. So I think there is it's just a little bit too troubled. And then there's the whole idea of the Snyder cultists just being very toxic, just like an onslaught of Zack Snyder's Justice League, Zack Snyder. And while they did eventually get it, that did kind of give us a precursor in terms of the whole restore the Snyderverse movement, now placating all of WB's or any DC news stories or posts and just kind of being in it, because when you give them a crumb, they'll want a whole cookie. So, it's kind of sad that Justice League has kind of become so tainted, especially when Avengers movies are still killing it now, and might even be killing it next year. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see, even despite the troubled productions of Doomsday. So Avengers is still top tier, and Justice League still hasn't had a truly great film on the big screen because we've only gotten that 2017 movie, which was like a bare bones kind of Zack Snyder's Justice League, which not the best thing ever. But it's kind of damaged, but it's sad. But I don't think that's why we have Justice Gang, which has probably become the title because Maxwell Lord called it the Justice Gang. So that's probably what we have for the time being. But yeah, those are all the comments. Not really any questions, but yeah, we will get into the bit of the side chat a little bit. You guys have been talking about it. Oh, hey, Elite Easy is in the chat. I didn't notice that. But yeah, they were talking about, I think Lex has a Man of Tomorrow. I think Nick Holt said he used a panel of Lex seeing his reflection in Superman's chest emblem to get into character. Yes, there would be that. We have more Jurassic League stuff. If the rumors are true and Aaron Pierre is in this, and maybe add Grant Gustin since he's a fan of Gunn and Gunn is a fan, his only people that are missing are Batman and Wonder Woman. I don't think Grant Gustin is going to be the Flash on the big screen, but you can dream. It'll not happen.
Hey, you know what? We're going to be talking about Flash after the show. Fancast Friday. So,
there's a whole bunch of stuff. We don't have tons of time, but we will be getting into Fancast Friday very soon. So, Super Friends? Yeah, maybe. DC kind of has its own Stan Lee, allegedly. Okay. Yeah. But thank you all for the wonderful comments you gave us. Thank you, Elite Easy. Nice to see you, but we gotta end this show because we gotta move on to the next show. We gotta talk about fan casting. So, thanks for watching the DCU Daily, and thank you to Elite Easy, JB1138, and Fatal J for your lovely comments, and of course for you guys in the chat currently, Hunter Iggy and M2G, Enterprising, Elite Easy again, Tony Randall, Patrick Nelson, Manos, y'all, Enterprising Ron. You've all been very wonderful today. Monique as well, but I can't.
John, don't forget we got the tier list Tuesday poll up. You guys,
yes, we do. But I don't know if you were going to pull that up. But yes, it is slightly updated. And somebody looks like Batman Actors is winning with the 8 votes. But as a couple people with X-Men, so that's kind of good. Let me refresh this to see if nope, it's still at that for the time being with the 8. So yes, very nice. So
don't forget,
make sure you go to the tier list poll so you know what we're doing for tier list Tuesday next Tuesday. So yeah,
absolutely, definitely let us know because we want to pick the topic based on what you guys tell us. So yeah, but we'll see you right after this. John has got his picks. Fancast Friday. Give us a few minutes. Go use the restroom. And take a bit of a break.
Go poop. Go grab a snack.
Yeah, and then we'll see you in a few minutes after for Fancast Friday. And until then, guys, as James Gunn would like to tell you, and Superman would tell you, don't forget to look up.
It's another
Oh well, we tried.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in the stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto. Hunka!
Hi, my name's Clark Kent, and I am a normal human journalist at the Daily Planet. This is a day in my life. Start off the day by taking the elevator up to my office. That's the normal way to get up to the top of a skyscraper. Then sit at my desk and go through my to-do list before I start working on my assignments. It's a pretty cool job because I work with my best buddy Jimmy and also the super talented Lois Lane, who is just an absolutely phenomenal journalist and someone I deeply respect as a coworker, and only that, nothing else. Then, after catching up on the news and happenings in the world, I step out for a several-hour break in the middle of the day to deal with personal stuff. And that's it. Okay, bye.